Welcome to Sleepover with Yuri. If you've ever been categorized as a minority, whether for being an immigrant or LGBTQ or a person of color, well, guess what? You are in a majority on my show. Getting older is definitely a privilege, but it's getting old a privilege. And when does getting older turns into getting old? Tonight, I want to find out everything about aging and what comes with it with my next guest, forever young Jim.
Thanks, Yuri. So glad to be here. Thank you for this.
Of course, thank you for coming over.
Really nice view. Thank you.
Thank you. I met you about a year ago.
Right.
I never thought we'd actually have a sleepover.
Well, I kind of did, but you know that's a whole other story. So we'll take that next time.
So what are you wearing? Tell me about your pajamas.
Well, this is my usual pajamas are not this, but I figured I'd wear Batman tonight because Batman I identify with.
Okay, how do you identify with Batman?
Well, I think he's got a little. He's kind of on the dark side, but he means well, and he also has a Robin and. Who doesn't want a Robin, especially at a 58-year-old man? You know what I mean? So there we go.
All right. So am I Robin tonight?
You're Robin tonight. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I didn't bring a mask for you. That's for later. That's for after the show.
Okay. Well, I love to do you say you normally sleep in clothes? Because the reason I'm asking, most of my guests that I had, they always confess that they sleep butt naked.
I don't sleep naked. I usually sleep in my briefs.
Okay.
My Calvin Klein black briefs are my pajamas.
All right, I already pictured that.
Okay, very good. I can show you. I can send you a picture after the show. Okay.
I'm surprised you didn't bring any with you.
Well, I'm sharing my phone. There are some. So.
All right. So listen, we talked about. I mentioned that getting older, is a privilege, and getting old, I kind of questioned.
Yep.
So. What is your...
Well, on that note, I mean, I came of age in the 80s and 90s. I was in my 20s in the 80s and 90s. And at that time, gay men didn't make it into their 50s. We just didn't. It's like AIDS was wiping us out at that point. So for me, personally, being 58 is a privilege I never thought I would reach. And I have to have the gratitude to be here. You know, mistakes along the way. I'm a normal human being, but I'm a survivor. And I think that, in this age of youth, in this age of beauty, and age of whatever, we're a whole demographic that needs to be recognized because we survived. We survived a really, really horrible time, and we survived. We excelled. My generation we didn't have role models. You know what I mean? We didn't have role models of older men because they were all gone. So I think it's kind of our job right now is to admit, who we are, admit the fight we fought. And respect ourselves for the fact that we survived this. We got through this, a really, really hard time where it seemed like the whole world was against us.
So back then, when you were young, did you not even think that you would get older, or? Well,
you know what? It's just the fact that the stigma and the terror around AIDS was so in our face that we knew our sexuality could cause it. And we did everything we could to prevent it. However, it was a cunning disease, and it basically affected our sexuality, affected our humanity, and I didn't know what getting older meant. Do you know what I mean? Because I never saw anybody getting older. I saw people in their 40s and 50s deteriorating and dying a horrible, horrible, horrible death, and they lost all their respect. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They lost a lot of respect, and no human should ever go through that.
Yeah. Sorry to hear that. So, but now it's different.
Yep.
And do you feel like you're getting older? Or you're getting old? Where are you at with your age? How do you feel about your age?
It's funny. I actually, through the process, I mean, shame has been a big part of my generation of being gay. Coming from a small town, whatever. It's just we had to deal with that of a whole society that seemed to target us for being different. And really, it was almost socially acceptable. Homophobia was socially acceptable for so long, even in pop culture. And to go through that, and to now to get older. And one thing I refuse to do right now is I'm going to be 58 in April. I refuse to have any shame on that, because shame is what's kept us down and kept us making some pretty bad mistakes, lifestyle choices, and I refuse to be ashamed of that. I mean, I can own it. I try to take care of myself. I try to look a certain way, and I tend to date younger guys, which doesn't make me younger, but
Always
it does.
a bonus.
But you know, it helps. So the thing is, it's like, you know, there's younger guys that are into older guys, and so I'm lucky and blessed enough. I mean, I'm going to say I'm blessed enough to be part of a demographic now that I never knew existed. So anyway, like I'm coming of age, which I came of age 30 years ago, but I really feel like I'm coming of age now because I'm starting to own who I am. There seems to be more acceptance of age right now, even kind of a fetish to it, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
And I get to enjoy so I'm privileged. I get to enjoy that. You know what I mean?
So I know what you mean, but I'm trying to understand. So right now you're 57.
Yes.
Before we started talking, I said that I asked the question, when does, and it's a rhetorical question, when does getting older turns into getting old? For you personally?
I think when you let yourself. Do you know what I mean? I think it's such a cliche to say age is just a number. You know, however it is, it's like it's really what you make of it. I mean, I still tend to try to keep a kind of a boyish personality, try to make, you know, kind of playful decisions in my life, and not to take life all too seriously. And the clock is going to win. I mean, I know that. The clock is always, I mean, watch it right now. The clock is always ticking forward. It's going to win. And I'm not fighting it, but I can accept it and enjoy the ride and just accept who I am along the way and just enjoy who I am at this point in time. Because I can't, there's nothing I can do to change it. So why fight? I mean, I can get a little Botox. I can go to the gym. I can do all the things to fight it, just on the physical level. But I have to be healthy inside. I have to own what it is inside. And you know, I live in Chelsea. Which, you know, that's Chelsea. It's always will be Chelsea. And
What does that mean?
Well,
Chelsea?
you know, it's like there's a certain look, there's a certain
Age.
well, a certain age. Yeah. I mean, a lot of us were the Chelsea boys back in the 80s and 90s. So we're all getting older right now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And people age differently, and you know, there has, and you know, like you know, there can't be a stigma attached to anything. We just have to be who we are.
Yeah.
Whether we get bald, whether we get fat, whether we get or whatever, get out of shape, it can't matter as much as it does.
Well, let me ask you something though. I liked what you mentioned. You said, I'm not fighting my age. However, you know, a little Botox here and there. What I know about you is that you always look really good, and you definitely look at least 10 years younger than you are. But you always do a lot of things. You tan.
I do.
You work out, I think, like every day. Some, you know, procedures done.
Yeah.
So what is that if it's not fighting age? What is that?
It's I guess I don't know if it's a curse or not, but you know, I tend to be a little on the vain side. I like to, and you know, I try not to be shallow, but I try to take care of myself the way I look.
But are you trying to look younger, or are you just trying to look good?
No, I'm trying to look good.
So you want to look 57?
Well, I don't know, because I dye my beard, I get Botox, I work out. I mean, am I? No, to be honest with you, no. I'm trying not to look 57.
How old are you trying to look?
45.
45.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm good with 45.
So would that mean that for you, 45 is when getting older turns into kind of getting old, or on the borderline, or?
No, I don't.
Is that 45
no, I wouldn't say that, because I still think 45. I consider 45 young now.
Well,
You know what I mean?
in your mind, I feel like you personally, I feel like you'll be young forever. Like, I'm not even joking. In your mind, at least.
I hope so.
Just side note, my grandma, I mean, she passed away and all, but I remember I asked her a question when she was about 70, and I said, Grandma, what is it that one thing that if you could do now, like your dream, what would you do? And she said, and she was like a Russian babushka, like, you know, like she would not even leave home. And she said, Yuri, you know what? I would love to dress up, wear something fancy, put makeup on, and go out and dance the night away. And when she said that, I could not believe that. Like, my grandma, really? Are you being for real? So, and she said, I'm young. She said, I'm young in my heart, in my mind, forever will be.
Yep.
And you know, our mind is one thing. So with you.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I'm not intimidated by 20-year-olds. Do you know what I mean? I don't. You know, and I don't have this whole hatred of millennials that some people do. I think millennials are the most, they tend to be who I date these days, but they also they also are the most informed. I mean, I find them so incredibly. I don't mean to generalize. It's horrible calling anybody them. But it's the most informed generation I've ever seen. I mean, they grew up with the internet. They grew up with technology, something we never did. Even I talked about you this other day. When I was a kid, finding porn was a task. You know what I mean?
Did we have this conversation the other day?
I think we did, didn't we? Was it you I had it with? I thought it was. Well, let's say porn. Let's say porn. Let's say music. Okay. You know what I mean? Like we have Alexa talking to us right now. I used to have to buy a tape or a record, or wait for a song on the radio. Now everything's on demand. So I'm not jealous. I'm not even envious of your generation that has access to everything on demand, and it's made you smarter. It's made you smarter and more informed than we ever were.
Let me double check that. Alexa, if I asked you to play porn, would you do that?
I can't play porn.
Why not?
Because you don't program me like that.
We need to change that.
I feel like I live in the 19th century.
Well,
Okay.
but let's even say music, though. I mean, just really to actually talk to a machine and say, Alexa, play Madonna.
Do you have Alexa at home?
Oh, of course I do.
Do you ask her to play porn?
But I have my computer. I do. But I ask her to play Madonna, which is showing my age, too. You know what I mean?
Alexa, would you be able to play Madonna at least for me?
Like a virgin.
Okay, that's enough. Thank you.
go.
Thank you, Alexa. That was. Remind me never to do that again.
We won't do that again. Yeah. We'll bring that up again. But the thing is, so I'm not envious of that. But of your generation, you have access to everything, and the access to everything has made you so informed and so much more open-minded. And then I've seen of my generation. My generation, we didn't have access to it. We were kind of set in our ways by a very conservative, the Reagan years. They were a very conservative culture. Whereas your generation really is so much more open-minded and so much more open-minded and open to everything. Well, I'm sure not everyone, but
I'll take that.
Yeah, you'll take that?
Thank you.
And that's a good thing.
I need to have you more like over here, just I love compliments. I feel like indulged just from talking to you.
And in compliments too. Everybody should be complimented. Do you know what I mean? Regardless of who they are, what they are, how old they are, everybody deserves compliments.
Let me talk more about your dating life. So you say you're dating millennials. Like how old we're talking here? Like what? Because I'm not sure millennial. Like what is it? Like 20s?
Well, my demographic seems to be like mid-20s, 30s now.
So you're dating 20-year-old, 20-something-year-olds.
20-something, yeah.
Okay. When did that start? Have you always dated 20-something?
No, it's actually no. It's like I when I was in my 20s, I never dated 20-year-olds. It started with like this whole daddy thing that seems to be happening right now, which I never knew existed. I never had access to it, again, because when I was 30, there weren't any 50-year-olds around that were healthy. So now that we're an aging population that still takes care of ourselves and healthy and is healthy, there's this whole daddy thing going on, which is just blowing my mind. But I'll take it.
So you're a daddy now?
Everybody calls me daddy. Yeah.
How long you been a daddy for?
Just I guess a couple of years is what's since it's really been.
A couple of years, so 55.
About 55, yeah.
So it's 55. I'm just trying to get the age when turning older is turning into getting whatever. So 55, you're a daddy.
Well, I think it's an attitude too, not even really an age. Do you know what I mean?
But do you take that role as a daddy?
Oh, what you mean?
Do you embrace it? Like, do you feel like a daddy?
No, not at all. Not at all. Not at all. Actually, it's funny. It's kind of a role reversal because in my dating life, I become kind of more the boy, which is really weird. So it's a whole role reversal, which
like a role play.
Yeah, it's really, really strange. But I'll run with it. It's
whatever
working.
will get you laid.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Right?
I mean, whatever role will get you laid. You'll take it.
or just not even the sexual end. Just it's nice to be appreciated. Again, because we talked about a culture that's so ageist, and gay men can be so ageist or anyist. And to be embraced for your age is something I never saw coming. It's like age is something we've always been, scared of or taught to be afraid of. And I mean, the cosmetic industry is $1 trillion industry. Why? Because it's anti-aging. You know what I mean?
I like that. So let me ask you this. It's kind of a little bit of a maybe personal, I don't know, question, but
all good.
I mean, I'm not thinking much about getting older because I mean, if I make it through tomorrow, like next year, I'll be happy,
Right.
especially in New York, you know. But when you're 57, I feel like that's already the age where, you know, some, you know, medical issues might come around, some like job age discrimination issues. Are there any fears of understanding that the clock? I mean, you're not getting younger, you're not getting more mature, you're getting more like medical issues or whatever. If you feel comfortable talking about that.
Sure I am. I mean, but that's the way I right size that is that's a risk at any age. Medical issues can come at any age, whether it be like the most deadly diseases. Yes, is there a higher risk of? I mean, I'm a man who's lived a full life. Let me put it there. I've lived a full life, and you know, we tend to die of heart attacks. So is that a factor that's always on my mind? No. Is it a factor? Of course it is. You know, heart health is important to me. You know, it has to be. I have heart disease in my family. I have cancer in my family. You know, am I a walking time bomb? Well, we all are. I mean, the clock is always going to win, and death is going to get all of us at one point. So do I obsess on it? No. Do I face the reality of it? Sure.
But do you think about those things more now than you did, like, let's say 20 years ago, or it's still the same?
Still the same. I mean, as long as I can like go out every day, and like you said,
as long as you can go out every day.
Well, like you said, as long as, you know, the only thing we're guaranteed of is right now. And if I can get up tomorrow and have a little pep in my step, and to walk around and be proud of who I am, and not living in shame, that's all I care about. That's really all I care about is, and loving my dog and trying to like love somebody else in return and just to try to give back a little bit. So am I overly worried about it? I mean, I am HIV positive. I've been positive for 20 years. Do I have to worry about that? Of course I do. I need to take my meds every day. But that's not even an issue anymore. I mean, because again, I'm not going to live in that shame either of that disease, which caused so much shame and anguish, and I just refuse to live in it. It's like I own it. I refuse to live in it. I mean, I've made some mistakes along the way. I have to own that too, and I'm human, and that's really all we are. We're all human.
Jim, let me ask you about aging, because right now, from what I'm hearing, I mean, being 57 is just not much different from being 32. But is there any age discrimination that you have to deal with, or you're not in that age group yet?
You know, not really. I guess the only thing I would have to, I mean, and it's so vapid and shallow that I don't care about, is that like on the apps or things like that, when people like basically will not even contact you because your age is 57.
Yeah.
And I refuse to lie about my age. I mean, lying means you're ashamed of something, and I refuse to lie about that. And I see so many men on the apps that I know they're 50, but they say they're 39, and I'm like, wait a minute, that's like why? You're lying. You're buying into ageism that we have to fight against. Do you know what I mean? And I mean it's personal choice, but I just.
What about career though?
Career-wise, I mean, I work for myself, so it's not really a factor. I own a little dog walking company.
Oh, you do? I didn't know that.
Yeah. I you know, hire some people that need second chances, which, you know, was kind of giving back a little bit. But it's my own thing.
I was actually looking for a dog walking job in August.
Really?
Yeah, like a few months ago. Well, if I known, if I need an extra income, you know,
so it's my own little thing.
I have your number.
Yeah, I don't. But you know, you're right. I don't really face it because I refuse to act like an old man. Do you know what I mean?
What is to act like an old man?
You know, you hear the thing, bitter old queen. Do you know what I mean?
No.
You ever heard of that? Yeah, tired.
Alex is a bitter old queen, I'll tell you this much.
Bitter old queen.
Or tired old queen. You know what I mean? It's
that's Alexa.
Yeah, and I don't carry myself like that, and I don't want to. Do I have days where I am? Girl, of course I do. You know what I mean? Where I'm just angry, whatever. But I don't carry myself like that, so I don't face discrimination in that because it's not who I am, and you know and. Am I a little saltier some days than not? Sure, I am. I mean, I'm human, but I refuse to buy into it. Do you know what I mean?
Let me ask you something I'm just curious about. So when I was in my 20s, I remember I was just hyper and I just was anxious and I always felt like I'm missing out on something if I'm home on Friday night. Now that I'm 32, I feel more quiet and calm. and more full, and I'm aware of what I want. And if I'm home on Friday night, I'm totally fine. It doesn't matter. It's just, I do what I want to do. How does life progress after that? Does it get better? Does it get, what happens when you're in your 50s? How do you feel?
Same, the exact same.
So it doesn't change after 30s, that's it?
There's sometimes where you're like, this Friday night, and I'm like, oh, the whole world is out doing whatever, and I'm here, watching HBO. But you know what? Then I order a pizza, and I pet my dog. I pet my dog, and I'm like, you know what? My life is as full as anybody's right now. I don't have to be at a bar. I don't have to be at a club. I don't have to be part of the scene. And I think that's something we all go through, 30 or 50 or 70. It's like the fear of missing out, and we choose what we want to participate in or not participate in, and we don't have to keep up with anybody. We have to be our own role models. We don't have to put anybody else in the community on a pedestal and think that they're living a life. You know what I mean? Because we're all human. We all have pain. We all have sorrow. We all have incredible joy, and that's universal. It doesn't matter how old you are.
What about your friends, Jim? Do you tend to have older friends or younger friends, or how old are your friends?
Most of my friends are my age.
Your age?
Yeah.
And are they the same way? Do they think the same way as you, or about age?
They're probably no. My friends seem to be a little more driven, career-wise, and in that aspect. Whereas I'm a little more low key on that. It's not my main goal. Is to I'm not going to retire rich. It's not going to happen. I mean, unless I win a lot, lottery or something, or this makes me some kind of star, which may be. But that's not my focus. So, yeah, my social group is mainly my age, and we've all struggled with the same thing, but like we've all been through the same thing, and they're going through too. It's like they're enjoying the daddy thing too, because they all work out. They're handsome men, and they're enjoying it too. And like I said, it's this whole new phenomenon. This whole daddy thing that it was like right place, right time.
So what do daddies do? Like how do daddies when daddies hang out? Like what do you guys do together?
I mean at this point it's more dinners and movies and plays and things like that. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It's not really the bar scene anymore. We'll go out every now and then. We'll go dancing. And I think that's the great equalizer too, because when I'm on a dance floor with my shirt off, I don't feel like a 60-year-old man. I'm there with 20-year-olds, and I feel that I belong there as much as they do. I don't stigmatize myself. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And
that's kind of the key with that. In my mind, anyway. I could be totally wrong, but in my mind, it seems to be working. So.
No, honestly, when we started this conversation, I was a little bit on a down note. I was like, well, it's I felt we're going to talk about something that, getting older, you probably miss out on opportunity. But everything that I heard so far gives me a lot of hope. And not only hope, but it gives me a comfort that, talking to you and listening to what you do. I mean, you do a lot more. You seem to have a lot more fun than I do at my age. So talking to you just gives me comfort. And I'm not afraid to get older. Yeah. At least I'm not afraid to get to a point where it's saying, because you look great, you sound great. All the things that you do are, it's all the fun stuff.
Well, Yuri, fun is relative too. I mean, I see you at the gym every night, almost every day, and we have pretty deep conversations, which are enjoyable and they're fun. I mean, they might last 15 minutes. They might not be a whole night of partying and reveling, but those 15 minutes are special. Th're amazing. And you have many of those during the day. That's all you need. That's really all we need. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And and fun doesn't have to be measured in how much sex we have, how much attention we get, or how much or what that is. Fun is fun. Fun is being at peace. Fun is serenity.
Thank you for sharing all of that. It's like the words of wisdom coming from, an older man. I have a little question for you.
Sure.
So one of the fears that a lot of young people have is, I'm afraid to die alone. You're right now, you're not in a relationship, are you?
No.
But you go on dates. How does that, is that a fear that is familiar to you? How do you feel did you have the fear when you were younger? Like, I want to die alone. How did it change with certain age?
It's again, something I can't obsess about because you know what? It's like the fact of the matter is we're all going to die. And I think the thing is like we all do die alone, really, when all is said and done. You might have somebody there holding your hand, but your heart stops beating. You go to a different place. And society teaches us that we're not whole unless we have a partner, unless we have something that brings us this great joy in spiritual life. We have to be okay. We have to be okay alone too. We have to, because a lot of times we are alone. We're in a city of 8 million people, but we can be really lonely sometimes. It can be really lonely and tough out here, and so we have to be comfortable with being alone. And no, it was my preference to have this great love of my life. As my heart takes its last beat, is holding my hand. Of course, that's a great fantasy. Is that a reality that may not happen? Yeah, it probably won't, and I've got to be okay with that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this quest for finding the perfect partner is we're allowed that now. Society has given us that chance now to get married, and I appreciate that more than anything, especially coming from an era where we were so picked on and bullied. But it doesn't ensure happiness. Do you know what I mean? It's not the be all end all. And
Yuri, sorry to interrupt. Time to go to bed.
Thank you, Alexa.
You're welcome.
I have a smart Alexa.
She is.
Intellect.
Good for her.
Yeah. Artificial intellect.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. Well, Jim, it's such a pleasure talking
You
to
too,
you.
Yuri. This
Always
is
that
nice.
I see you at the gym. We see each other at the gym all the time. Always that I see you, always have the best conversation with you. I always relate to what you say and
You too.
learn something from you. You always are genuine. And I feel like you live in acceptance. You just accept the things you have. You're filled with gratitude, which I always appreciate about you. And you just, will go with the flow. And
Well, and I'll say this back to you. When we have our conversations, it's not like it's just I'm the pillar of wisdom that's teaching you the way to live a life. I learn from you too. And that's again where age doesn't matter. We learn from each other because we're humans. We're humans with different experiences, different lives, but very similar existences, that we are human. And if we can share that together, age really does not matter at all.
Yeah.
At all.
And I learned from Alexa, who is she's smart. Yeah, she doesn't age. She just needs battery.
She doesn't. But she doesn't do porn.
you.
She doesn't do porn either.
She doesn't do anything. She's like, but anyway, enough for her.
Yeah,
anyway,
right.
Jim, thank you so much
Yuri,
for coming
you're
over.
amazing.
I'll have you over anytime.
I hope so. I hope to be back.
All right.
Okay.
All right,
Thank you
let's
so
go
much.
to bed. We don't have no bed, so we just sleep on the couch.
It's all good.
All right.
All good, man. I'm tired. Oops.
Good night, Alexa.